Welcome to the great big world of bacteria. This will be a quick introduction to the kingdom of bacteria. So really it's not a world, it's a kingdom. All living things are classified into kingdoms and grouped into kingdoms based on their characteristics. Bacteria happen to take up two of the six major kingdoms of living things. One of the kingdoms is called eubacteria, and one is called archaebacteria. As expected, because they take up two of the six, these kingdoms are very diverse. Perhaps you only think of bacteria when you're sick, but really bacteria play a very important role in your everyday life. When we get close to them, magnify them, they look pretty cool. They have many different shapes and structures as their environment varies. Let's take a look at what bacteria look like. Here is a rod-shaped bacteria. Again, the color comes from the fact that we are using electron microscopes to take a look at these bacteria so close up. So they're really not blue. But you'll see some spectacular colors used to highlight what the bacteria looks like. Here's one with a flagellum with a little tail and some spiky stuff on the outside. Here's one that actually looks like a ball, spherical shaped bacteria. You can see that a lot of them have some common shapes. What you're seeing is common bacteria so far. So how do they get these living things grouped into these kingdoms called bacteria? Well, bacteria have four main characteristics that they all have in common. That allows scientists and others across the world to categorize or group these or classify these into the kingdoms of eubacteria and archaebacteria. Some of the ones that are listed below, here's let's get rid of that line. Here's one. They all must be unicellular, which means they all are single-celled organisms. Yes, living things can just have one cell. They are also found as being autotrophic. Trophic meaning to feed, auto meaning self-feeding, so that means they can create their own food, usually using sunlight, although they can take other chemicals and make food the same way. They are also, some can also be heterotrophic, so actually they can be both autotrophic and heterotrophic to still belong in this kingdom. Heterotrophic, again, trophic means to feed, hetero means on something else, so that is the bacteria we see as eating or decomposing things. They are all prokaryotic, which is a type of cell that lacks a nucleus. And of course, we talked about them having to be under the microscope, which means that they're also going to be very small. Now, as I mentioned before, a lot of times all we hear is them being bad because they are causes and can cause disease. But amongst other things, there are some good things they do. For instance, we rely on bacteria for a lot of our food. One example being yogurt. Along with us eating food, it also helps us in digestion. As a matter of fact, we find lots of bacteria in our own intestines. Some other good things, it helps our immune system. You'll hear the word probiotic in a lot of nutritional supplements. That is to help us develop the immune system. They do photosynthesis, so you'll find a lot of them being green and found in aquatic systems where they're used as food and a very important part of the food chain. And also, as a good thing, is they're also decomposers, which means they break down dead things or things that have died, and they bring them back down into the simplest elements on Earth. Now, along with disease, you might notice that your feet might stink from time to time. That is caused from bacteria that are living on the skin, and as they break down certain products, odors are released. On the same idea, they also help spoil food, cause your breath to stink, and the all-important acne. As we take a look at bacteria closer in terms of structural, this is what they look like. You can see that they don't look like a human cell whatsoever. They do have some outer coverings, sometimes a big, huge, thick covering. As you can see, these outer capsules here, this red surface right there is a thick capsule. That's different than a human cell. Inside the cell, you'll see that there is no nucleus to hold the DNA, even though DNA is required for life. A nucleus isn't. Here's a couple different views of that same cell. Again, you can see it will have things like chromosomes here. That's where the DNA is, but it does not is not housed in the nucleus. You can see that they do use ribosomes. That is a common organelle that it has with humans' cells. And that's going to really conclude our quick introduction to the kingdom of bacteria.